Hello, it's me again, I'm Nafith. Today I will walk you through the dynamic segmentation. That's based on a previous video we have created. I will leave the link into the comments. Now we will show you how to configure the switch for that purpose, and also will show you how ClearPass configuration should also take place. And the concept of this dynamic segmentation is simply the client authenticates and that perform 802.1x authentication, and once that authentication is sent to ClearPass, ClearPass will send back a vendor VSA, and in this case it's a local user role that was configured on the switch. One role will tunnel, another role will switch locally. So ClearPass, based on authentication conditions, will decide what happens next, and the tunnel will be established, and then the VLAN and all the other settings, firewall settings, are applicable to the user on the gateway itself. So we're going to show that, and we will verify and test the solution. And in this case, we can look at the client that is visible inside the gateway or controller, as well as we can see the client on the switch as well. And we will look at the tunnel. Let's have a look. So the first step we're going to do, we will create that user that we need as a downloadable user role. So that's on ClearPass. We go to administration, admin, users and privileges, and then we click on the admin users, click on the add, and then we would like to give it a name. So basically any name, but I would like to give it Aruba DUR, and then the same. And we go to the password, and remember the privilege enabled, obviously, and that's the privilege we need, because we're going to use this one on the switch as well. So what we're going to do, again, the switch has been configured with the settings we've seen it before. So all the settings that need for .1x authentication and so on are performed on the switch. So that's the switch config, or part of the switch config already being done on the switch. These are for the host, for the radius. ClearPass is to indicate when we connect, that will automatically download the certificate, and then the rest, as you can see, we have enabled role-based authorization, and we created 2 local roles here. We might need to create other role that is for download, but we'll come back to this later. But this is the switch config when it comes to the radius configuration. On the switch, we're going to configure the tunnel node server. So that's tunneled controller IP is the IP of the controller, which is 10.1.10.100 mode role base, and then enable, then exit. Now we will configure the VLAN that will be communicated to the controller, to the gateway. This is what the traffic will egress on. Okay, so we're going to define this VLAN here, but we will not assign to any interface. So that is VLAN, in this case 1011. Now we're going to create the user role, which is the for tunneling. This is the role that will be sent by ClearPass, but in here we will create is a local user role, and that is for dynamic segmentation. AAA authorization, user role name, tunneled user, and then we will say what VLAN will be assigned to. VLAN ID in this case will be 1011. We created this VLAN, and that will be communicated to the gateway, and then that will be tunneled node server redirect. And secondary role, this is the firewall role on the gateway. We give it full access, we call it authenticated. Now that role is a firewall role. that will be applied on the gateway, on the controller. And you'll find, if you look at the controller, you'll find this role available here. That's the one. So ClearPass will send to the switch will redirect and ask the gateway or the controller to assign that role or firewall role. Now we go back to ClearPass. If you click on services, this is the one we created before. And we authenticate from the local user repository. And then in the enforcement, we have created this enforcement that will take action based on certain condition. What we're going to do, we're going to change this action. So we're going to modify this and make a change to it. So it will send back, it will send traffic based on different role that will be assigned. So we go profile. So what does this profile will send back? User role equals to corporate. I would like to change this one to make it equal to the one we configured on the switch, which is basically tunneled user. So we're going to change this one to tunneled user. So we go back to this and we go to attribute and we change this one. Tunneled user has to be, it is case sensitive, has to match 100%. So we're going to save this. Now we've done with this, and we're gonna, so if somebody authenticates as an employee, like in the conditions here, we can see going back, if the condition authorization from a local user, the role that was assigned to the user equals employee, then take this action, which is corporate role, which in this case I would like to send back. We can even rename it to make more sense. So we can go here and we can say tunneled role. Yeah. Tunneled role, and again remember we send back on this switch HPE user role equals to tunneled user, and we're going to say save. Yeah, there's of course there's nothing to match here. And if you go back to the service, we can see the service now in the enforcement tunnel role has been updated. So we will test the authentication and see if the tunnel is going to be formed or not. So now the user authenticates, the tunnel has been established. Remember the VLAN that we wanted, so inside that we have configured inside the user role has been communicated with the gateway. That gateway should have that VLAN exist on it. So that gateway should take the traffic on interface G001. The VLAN that has to leave is 1011. Now, if we look into the switch and issue the command show port access client, you should see the client authenticated and has been assigned a VLAN 1011. And if you look at the detail of that client, you will see that it is authentication type .1x, tunneled, the name for the role that was assigned. The role is local, but there's a tunnel has been established, and the VLAN that was given was 1011. Tunneled redirect enabled, that's where we tunneling to. And the secondary role that was sent back to the gateway is authenticated. We now look at the gateway specific user. So in the gateway, if you issue the command show user, that will show us the user that was configured on this specific gateway. Show user, I mean the tunnel one. So it is authenticated. The role authenticated is tunneled, and the name of that is a test user. And you can clearly see this has been tunneled authentication, tunnel user using .1x authentication. We can also verify the tunnel here. So we can say show tunneled node server state. So that's the gateway. It says switch access controller, switch anchor controller here, and the VLAN and everything looks fine, registered. And that's the user that is connected. And that's the user, that's the MAC address of the user as per what the switch shows. Switch shows that MAC address, that's the one that is connected now, and this tunnel. We can issue similar command to the previous command. We can say show tunneled node users, and they will show us the tunneled is up and authenticated the secondary role that was assigned to that user on the gateway, on the controller. And we've seen it on the controller, as you could see, the secondary role that was assigned to this user is authenticated. So things look perfectly fine, and on the controller we can clearly see the user has been tunneled. On the client, if we log in with a different user that is not supposed to be tunneled, like contract user, that should not be tunneled. So we're going to change this one to provide different username in here. Different user, we're going to see the tunnel that is no tunnel exists for the user now. Yeah, contractor. Connected, and we can see now contractor has authenticated, and the output will send back user role contractor. And if you go to the switch, we're going to see the port 5 online again, remember, but there's no tunneled user. The communication between the switch and the controller is established, and there's no tunneled users, but there is a user connected as a client. Show port access client, that's a local one on VLAN 10. Thank you for watching the video, and I will see you in future videos. Thank you very much.